Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Like the video, like, share, and subscribe. Come on in. Ride along with me into the office. This is another episode, another Chronicles episode. Come on in. I haven't been on here lately as much. It's a lot been going on. So I want to catch up. I want to catch up and just talk about just all the things that's been taking place in these US of A streets. It's a lot. And there's a lot going on. We're going to talk about it. Good morning. Welcome, Purple. Let me see. Purple Olive, good morning. Thank you for liking the video. How are you? Where are you located in the world? Where are you located? What city, state, country? Where are you located? How do you feel about today's politics? Are you optimistic about today's politics? Are you like, You say you received a notification. Okay, great. At least I know that's working. Yes, lately I haven't been on here as frequently, and a lot of it has to do with just YouTube. They've been kind of LBC is at Long Beach, California. You're now in Oklahoma. Okay. I'm from Northern California, the Bay Area. So yeah, YouTube picks and chooses. Sometimes they want to share the notification. So I kind of took a break. And with the climate, with today's politics, the season, um, censorship. I just want to talk about censorship because I feel like more and more we're moving away from quote unquote freedom of speech. I don't know. I just wonder if eventually that'll just be removed from the books and that's no longer a thing. Excuse me. So being a content creator that discusses politics, that's concerning for me because I talk politics. One day, my political talk can be heavy support of the Trump administration. And on another day, it can be talk against something that they're doing. So it varies. That's what makes this channel very different from a lot of other political talk content. It's because I don't lean one way hard versus the other, like right or left. I'm kind of neutral. It's just I'm a naturally balanced person. So I look at things just from the perspective of, okay, what's playing out right now? What we talking about? I don't judge it as a whole. You ever see some people to where if it's somebody that they like, no matter what they do, this is, you can think about your personal experiences. No matter what they do, you see people just ride till the wheels fall off for that person, even though they may be on some other type stuff and poor moral compass, all of that, but they still are on that train of they can do no wrong. That's not me or my personality. So I don't talk about politics over here from a way of just no matter what, Trump is winning, even though he got my vote for the last two elections. But to me, as of late, although I haven't been on here heavy doing content on this channel, I've done some things, but just at more random times. I'm seeing a lot of people who are making comments out here on the internet that are not liked. And yesterday I saw where um, it was a politician. I'm not quite sure if it was Pam Bondi. It was someone because I listened to so many different people. But it was someone from the Trump administration that encouraged, I think they said it maybe some days ago, but they encouraged for people to So if anyone says something, I guess negative, I guess centered around what's been going on today, um, call and report them. Call their employer. Call the employer or the person who is out saying, talking greasy, whatever. Contact their reporter, their employer, and report them. And I didn't like that because I was already seeing content out there about like different compilations and things where people were talking about there are people who are losing their jobs today because of things that they posted on the internet, um, as to talk about recent acts. And I don't know, I didn't like that. I think that, for one, freedom of speech is real. So as long as you're not violating any laws that are on the books right now today, I don't feel like just because you didn't like what someone had to say and it wasn't anything that was directed to you, but they were voicing opinion on things that's just what they're seeing taking place. I don't feel like it's fair to go for that person's job. Now, if someone said or did something that offended you and you just was really that but heard about it, that's one thing. But for someone to just make a blanketed statement about the state of just the things that are going on today, or just what they're seeing, or just just I don't know, I just don't like the idea that it's just so easy for someone to just not like what you said, what you posted on the internet, and then they go to your employer with it, and then now you're without a job. I just don't like that. So I wanted to just come out here and just talk about that. And when I hear things like that, it has me to be less motivated to talk politics, because you just never know like how somebody feels about what you're saying. You just don't know. And I think because of how I talk, a lot of other people talk, with coming out here and voicing my opinion, YouTube, the powers that be, large platforms, they have the ability to control what you're saying, how you're moving. And they can do that by shadow banning your channel, meaning that, for example, when I go live, if you follow my channel, you not receive a notification that I went live. Or if you go to my channel while I'm live, it doesn't appear as though I'm live. So that's what's known as shadow banning, if you ever hear anyone talk about that in content creation, in particular on YouTube. So YouTube has done that a lot with my channel, changed it, like messed with it. So as a result of that, when I go live, I don't see as many people. Like right now, it's not a whole lot of people. So I know that a lot of it is just rooted in because of the type of channel it is, and a lot of there's a lot of negative talk centered around the current administration right now. It's a lot of negative talk, and the only way that they can kind of control that is if the owners of the platform, the higher up, they can control if whether or not your content is seen. Because if you're not saying anything hateful, they can't get you with like a what do you call it, a strike to the channel. There's no strike to the channel. So the best thing they can do is to just block your channel from being seen and viewed. So to me, all of that falls underneath hate speech, freedom of, I would say the freedom of speech, a constitutional right. And it's still on the books that we have freedom of speech, but it's given in today's climate that as though we don't, because of how people are being dealt with when they have an opinion that's different from the next person's opinion. And I don't think that's good. And I wonder if how other people in other countries, what's been their experience centered around freedom of speech. Do people still feel like, yes, it's still something that's really pushed and encouraged and backed in your country? Or if you're like, nah, I'm seeing a change, I'm seeing a shift here. So what do you do? How do you move when you feel like, although it's said and it's on the books that you have freedom of speech, but based off of how people are being dealt with, it's showing, it's giving that it's not the case. What do you do? What do you say? So it's just shaky grounds. It's shaky grounds. Content creators are being impacted by it, also in a way of their opinion, um, of just recent things that's taken place here in the United States. They've gone on their platform, share their opinion, and some are saying, they've seen a, a big loss to subscribers, and they know it's based off of, their opinion that may be unpopular. Right now, today, I'm not quite sure, like, you ever hear them say the popular opinion? What does that mean? The popular opinion of who? Because you got so many people who are who are on the right, who are on the left. So whose opinion is the popular opinion? It's just that those little things. But anyway, people are taking notice that because they're sharing their opinions about how they feel about what's going on today. People who have maybe subscribed to your channel are now unsubscribing. And it happens. It comes with, you take the good with the bad. It happens as content creators. You win some, you lose some. The goal is to win more, right? That's always the goal. But for me, when it comes to this political ish, what's going on, there are some things, you pick and choose your battles. So there's some things that I choose to speak on, and there are some things that I choose not to speak on. Because I understand, or I'm able to see that right now we're in a climate to where what you say can be used against you, and it's a reality. And even if whatever you say, you feel like you didn't say anything wrong and you're exercising your right of freedom of speech, there is someone else who may feel otherwise. I saw where U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, she did an interview with Katie Miller. I think she's the wife of, I think his name is Stephen Miller. He works for Trump. Is he the chief executive officer or something like that? I can't remember what his Stephen Miller's title is, but he's kind of like Trump's like right hand man, like right there on the side of him. So his wife Katie Miller has a podcast. I didn't know that. I don't know if she just started it, but Pam Bondi was on there and she talked about them going after people who who's delivering hate speech. So a lot of people got upset. It's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? We have freedom of speech. What are you talking about? What do you mean you're going after someone because of words? So apparently she came back and kind of clarified or said, well, I'm talking about people who are talking about inciting violence, things like that. So some people still find it just concerning that she's coming out talking about wanting to take an aggressive approach to someone who says something that she deems to be violent, or she may deem or feel like they're inciting violence. But again, it's this whole freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. So I was listening to also Trump talk he was talking in front of the White House to a reporter, and they asked him a question about what Pam Bondi said about coming for people who are out talking, spewing things that they don't like. Let's just say that. And Trump's response was like, well, I should sue you. You work for a news outlet that I just got millions of dollars from. You all say things or whatever, and I should sue you. So basically, his response was he backed Pam Bondi with, if you're saying things that basically we don't like, and it's going against what we stand for. When I say we, the Trump administration stand for, then you can be looked at with a magnifying glass, and they can make the decision to determine if whether or not what you're saying is a violation, what they consider a violation, which is inciting violence. It's just really weird, because to me it crosses the line of freedom of speech. Like, okay, you're not gonna like what I say, but I don't know. I don't like that. It's just too much of a gray area. It's very subjective on, okay, when you make a comment on someone deeming that, oh, okay, you said it in a way that incited violence or was hate, but you're like, well, no, I'm just speaking my opinion. You may not like what I said, my opinion, but it's my opinion. I'm entitled to it, and I'm just sharing it. I'm expressing myself. So that's where we are today with being able to express yourself verbally. And a lot of people recently have learned the hard way, because people have come for their jobs because they said some things that other people did not like. Now, these things that people are saying, it can be true. I don't know, because I don't know what all these people who have had their jobs impacted have said. But I have seen some who have said heard some who have said some things that basically it wasn't lies. It was just that people who heard it just didn't like it. So as a result of that, those people went to the boss of those who they felt offended by, and they're today without a job, or without that job they had. That's an entire problem, and we got to do something about that. That's an entire problem. I think Pam Bondi, her people, and on their side, their corner, actually pulled her to the side after hearing what she said on that podcast, where she talked about coming for people who say, hateful things, whatever. People even from her corner, her side, kind of pulled her to the side and was like, yo, like, you're embarking on freedom of speech. What do you mean by that? So I think she came back, circled back around, and clarified, saying, oh, I'm talking about, people who are inciting violence and stuff like that. I feel like, no, when she initially made that statement, it was made to scare people into just moving the way she or people on her side, the Trump administration, want people to move when it comes to just the things they say. The Trump administration have not been happy with a lot of what's been said about how things are going. I watched yesterday Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, do he had a sit-in hearing yesterday. Got really heated and intense. I watched a bit of it live, uh, and it had a lot of questions. It's a lot of people who are not here for the current administration. I would say, in my 44 years of living, nearing 45, next month is my birthday, this is the first administration that I've seen where I feel like there's more people who are not in support of how the things are going with the administration versus being in support. It's like a lot of people don't have positive, favorable comments about what's taking place with US politics. Rightfully so. That's what prompted me to start up this YouTube channel, rightfully so. But I feel like because of that, that's where all this talk is coming in with the attack on the freedom of speech and coming for people who say this or say that, is because it hasn't been a lot of favorable remarks made about the current administration. I think that if that were not the case, Pam Bondi wouldn't have made the statement she made on that podcast about coming for people who speak negatively, or her, whatever, however she said it. You can go to the internet. I'm driving, so I don't have the exact information of what she said, the quote, but it's basically was centered around wanting to control what people are putting out there, spewing out there, uh, to people on the internet. I don't even think it's just geared to the internet. It's, if they see, you can be on the corner saying it. Basically, if they feel like it's hate speech, it's inciting violence, then they can pull you to the side and try to have a conversation with you. Now, she did say that um, they will not be prosecuting people. These people who she's talking about coming for. I don't know. It's just really weird. I feel like she kind of backpedaled because even, the people in her corner was just like, I think you're doing a little bit too much on this one. So she tried to kind of back it up. But it's out there. So a lot of people are just talking about this whole thing of uh, the Trump administration being able to comfort people who say things that are not favorable about Trump, or anyone just maybe just within his camp. I saw also when I was on the internet, I was, looking up some things centered around this topic, and I seen where Trump, not that long recently, was asked a question about something taking place in the U.S. by a reporter, a non-American reporter, and just because the person made a comment, asked a question, whatever, and it wasn't anything favorable to how Trump is moving as the president of the United States, Trump basically threatened to call the prime minister of this particular country, can't remember the country, to tell them, basically to tell on them, because I told y'all the Trump administration had already put out there, hey, um, if people are out here saying things that you don't like, it's not, you know, call or report them. Go to their job, their bosses, and report them. I was just like so surprised when I heard that, because I knew this was happening with people, but I didn't know that it was the Trump administration encouraging for people to call these people jobs, call their bosses and tell on them. So I was just like, Lord, like, we are in some different times. I will say that we are in some different times. We are in very different times. So with knowing that, you have to move in a way, you got to move differently. You got to acknowledge the fact that things are different today. Things are very different. And to protect you and yours, you have to adjust. So that's what I've been doing lately, is adjusting to the climate of today as it comes to politics, especially given that I do not have a lot of things that are favorable, a lot of favorable things to say about the Trump administration. So because of that, I don't say as much, because I'm not going to come out here and lie and say things that make anyone warm and fuzzy about the performance of the Trump administration. I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. It's too much. And the thing I liked yesterday, as far as about the hearing between Kash Patel and the Senate, is that they were asking a lot of questions that things I've asked on my channel. I see, other content creators, news outlets talk about and ask these questions, people in comments about, like, the things that are taking place under today's administration as it pertains to, like, the Epstein files, um, immigration, like all these different things. And I liked that he was put on the spot to have to try to provide some questions. I'm sorry, some answers to many questions that we have out there, because we're not getting answers. So it's kind of like he was on the hot seat to have to speak to these things. And the part centered around the Epstein files like really had, my attention, because sir, like, what's going on? What's going on? Why we ain't seen that? Like it was just that kind of energy, and he kind of got, stuck. So it's almost like he was the one that had to deal with all of the heat from what's taking place with the administration since he was there. Those tough questions that people have had for maybe Trump, Pam Bondi, whoever. Kash Patel was in the hot seat yesterday. They asked him about Ghislaine Maxwell. They asked the question as to why she was moved from maximum security prison to minimum security prison. And his response was like, that wasn't my doing. But he really didn't have an answer. He was like, listen, I don't make all the decisions. I don't make all the decisions. But he didn't have anything really to say. Like, I don't know. It was bad. I would just say it was bad. I don't feel like yesterday's hearing for the Trump administration made them look any better. I don't think so. I don't feel like it maybe made them look worse. I just feel like it didn't help. I don't feel like it helped. Um, I feel like it co-signed why people feel the way they do. Meaning that I feel like the Trump administration have lost the trust of the American people. There's a lot of things that are taking place that makes absolutely zero sense. And the American people is just supposed to accept that and move on with life. And that's basically what the Senate was saying to Kash Patel. Was just like, y'all playing us like we crazy, like we're dumb. And I feel like that's very much so what's taking place. It's definitely, to me, that's what it's giving, that the Trump administration feel like, hey, we can do what we want to do. We tell these people this, they'll move on to the next story, and then they're seeing that it's not working. And I feel like the more the Trump administration tries to fight against the idea, the fact that it's not working, the more they're spiraling. Yeah, it's just definitely not a good look. It's not a good look. It is not a good look. So those are my thoughts centered around just the politics of today. Um, I'm not personally happy with the politics of today. Are you? Definitely let me know. Keep the conversation going on in the comments. Are you happy with the politics of today? If so, why? And if you're not happy, why? Do you feel optimistic about the future of the United States? Are you still one of those people to say, "Oh, it's still early. Trump, it's still early." Are you still giving him the benefit of the doubt? Are you like, you know what? Things are bad. It is what it is. I got to accept reality that we may have taken an L with this one, with having, Trump as the president. But listen, we got to move forward. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm kind of like leaning more so towards that way. Like, okay, yes, I voted for this man. I'm not happy for the most part. There's some things, that he's doing that I'm like, all right, then, yes, I'm here for that. That's what I voted for. But then there are so many other things to where I'm just like, you know what? Y'all want some other stuff over there at that White House. Y'all want some other stuff. And if you want to know what I mean by that, check out my content, and when you know what I mean. But like I said, lately YouTube's been messing with the channel, so my content isn't really circulating out there the way it was. To give you an idea of how my content circulated, you can check out my previous posted videos, and you can see the difference with the views and things like that. So that's because it was kind of being pushed. But now, since with everything going on, from what I'm hearing, there's other content creators that are also being impacted in this type of way as well. With the to me, it falls underneath censorship, a form of censorship. I feel like I'm being censored. Um, I feel like I am being yeah, censored over here. Michael Wilson, do you like Charlie Kirk? To be honest, before he passed away, he died or he was killed, I didn't know who he was. I had seen him, I guess probably maybe about a couple of months ago. Someone had sent me a video of him on a college campus debating some students. I'd never seen that man before then. And I didn't have his name memorized. I just remember seeing him. So when I saw in the headlines, what happened, I'm like, oh, I remember that guy. He was debating students, and it was a good, debate. And I liked some things, that he was having to say for that debate. It was just centered around, okay, it's the debate, or what I was listening to him debate on, the topic was centered around higher education, higher learning. Is it necessary? And someone who has higher education, have multiple degrees, I talk about on my channel that I don't feel like it's necessary to be successful in life. I feel like graduating high school is a necessity, but going to college, it's not a necessity. It's nice. You can have a good life, but it makes a difference on what you're majoring in, what your concentration is. I don't think all career fields warrant you to go to college. So the debate that he was having was centered around that, and I'm like, I was agreeing with, for the most part, with much of what he was saying, but that's all I knew about him. So then when I saw what happened with him, I was like, I clutched my invisible pearls. Uh, so that was still all the same day it happened. So then the next day, someone sent me a video. So going back to that day when I seen it happen, I'm like, oh my, I had like this sense of like a mourning feel. Like more like, oh my God, like that was crazy work. Like who does that? Like it was just a lot. Cause like I said, on my political channel, I cover politics, and that can be very heavy. So even though I come on here quite regularly, or I did, I cover politics. It's a lot of information I bring to you all, but that's a lot of information I'm absorbing. So it can be heavy. So sometimes I have to kind of step back and take a break. So during that time, I was in a moment of trying to step back and take a break from just politics. And when that happened, I just was like, wow. So it was just like the icing on the cake for me that day. Like, you know what? This political climate is it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. So then that was my sentiments the first day. The second day, someone had sent me thank you, no problem. The second day, someone had sent me a video, and it was like a compilation of just different things that Charlie Kirk had said that wasn't favorable for people in particular that looked like me. Uh, So I tilted my head because that was new. Remember, I'm saying I just learned who this guy was. And I'm sure a lot of people learned of him from this. Kind of like with the rappers, a lot of times these rappers who die and get off to however they get off, you don't hear about like it. A lot of times for me, my first time hearing of a lot of these rappers, um, at their demise when they die, and it's just like, oh, and then you hear their music. That's why you hear a lot of talks of a lot of these rappers, they're worth more dead than alive, but this type of thing happens, so the labels can really clean up on that. We seen that with the Tupac Biggie situation, with how much money was made, they were pretty much worth more dead than alive. So I feel like with Charlie Kirk and his brand, it's kind of like that, to where now that he's gone, his name has been elevated more than what it was when he was still alive. And like I said, I've seen that happen um, a lot in the music industry, in particular, like the rap industry, with the young rappers. So the next day after he died, I seen someone shared a compilation. That was just the first of many I ended up seeing, where he was saying some things that weren't favorable for people that look like me. And it was new. So it's like, wow. Like, so now it's like at that point, it's just like, okay, who is this guy now? So from there, I kind of started just listening to just different content with people talking about who he was. Some of them just people giving their opinions. Some people was just, showing video compilations of just the things he said. And so from there, I still shared the sentiment of, well, I don't think that anyone deserves to be died the way that he, the way he was killed. I don't think anyone deserves that. Uh, and I also don't think that anyone deserves to be offed because of their opinion about something, whether you may find it to be good or bad. Again, back to freedom of speech. So I just don't think those are reasons to just off somebody, regardless of what somebody said. So I'm one of those people that sit in that. So what they say, two things can be true at the same time. You can say what you said, say with your chest, and still deserve to be able to do that without fear for your life or having your life taken. But also at the same time, you can, the things that we say in the living, it doesn't go away when we cross over. Like, you ever hear people say, like, make a comment, oh, don't speak ill of the dead. But here's the part about that. It's, you got to look at it from a point of, just because someone crosses over and is no longer here in the physical, it doesn't erase whatever was said or done when they were here. So people have the right to talk about their experiences with that person when they were here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just because somebody crosses over, it doesn't take that away. Um, how somebody experienced you. So I just think that no one deserves to have their life taken because you said something that didn't make them feel warm and fuzzy. No, just move around. Don't listen to the person. There's so many ways you can respond to someone who whose views or values don't align with yours. We deal with it all the time. Like, most people aren't running around sharing the same opinion as the people whom they're encountering on the day to day. But you respect that. It's about boundaries, right? You have boundaries, and you respect that people have a difference in opinion. And that's what it is. It's an opinion, and we're all entitled to one. And I get back to the whole freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech. So, there's no need to celebrate it. That's pathetic. So, it's a lot of that. It's a lot going on. That's why I said I took a break. This is really my first time even talking about it. Someone asked a question about it, but I just took a break because it's so heavy. Like, I just feel like today we're just in a bad climate when it comes to just politics. It's a bad climate when it comes to politics, and like I said, just because someone crossed over, it doesn't erase the experiences that people had with people, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't erase that. It doesn't erase the experiences that people had just because the person isn't physically still here. Um, People will still have an opinion. People will still talk, and I think that people have every right to do that and not be fearful of their rights, going to jail, being fined, having their jobs taken, all of that. Um, yeah. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that. It's just, yeah, it's just a sad situation. So for me, my sentiment is that it's just a sad situation, just all around. It's just a sad situation. And really, I think most about, his children and things, because I'm a mother, and the impact that this will all have on them. Uh, and as my background is clinical mental health counseling, so I feel like it would be a good idea for the girls to early on to experience counseling. to just talk about things, especially the one that was, maybe the oldest one was maybe like 3, to where they could, get help to try to understand why daddy won't, why she won't be seeing her father in the house anymore. Just things like that. It's like, because all this does something to the psyche, just for everybody. If this is hard for the adults, child, imagine how it is for these kids. This is a lot going on. This is a lot going on. I'm not here for anybody just dying. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot. I'm just not here for anybody just dying. I don't think that we as people have the right to just make the decision to just end somebody's life and just say, all right, then we about to get you up out of here. Like, I just don't think that that should be in man's hand. But every day, it takes place. And I don't support that in any type of environment. I don't support that at all. But we see it happens. It's happening so much. It's happening so much. But I will say we do live in a hypersensitive society. And when I say hypersensitive, I mean, like, it doesn't take much to hurt someone's feelings, and then they just go and just go off on the deep end. And that's a problem. Like, where does that come from? Is it centered around just the rights? Like, where is this coming from? It's just such a hypersensitive society that we're in, to where people are just reacting. They're just, to me, just going overboard with how they're handling things that are said to them, or I don't know. It's just I don't. It's a lot. Something. It's, again. A lot of people mentally are not there, but it's a lot going on in today's society that has me to have a better understanding as to why a lot of people mentally are off balance, because people are out here going through things. They're struggling. Their finances are just not where they want them to be, not where they need to be. So it's just a lot of things that are taking place that has me to understand why people are just not thinking rationally. But there's never an excuse for someone's life to be taken. But it's a part of it. Unfortunately, it's a part of the. Um, it's something that happens every day. It happens every day. And sometimes when it happens, that we have whole think pieces and conversations about it, like with Charlie Kirk. And then you have those times where it happened where you don't know the person. They were just a regular person, and you read about them in the news, and you may have conversations with them, um, you know, with a coworker or family member. But at the end of the day, death happens every day, multiple times a day, many times during an hour. Like, it happens so much. It happens so much. And unfortunately, you have some people who live in environments to where they're like desensitized from it. I was watching about a few weeks ago this documentary on Mexico, and they were just talking about drugs, the epidemic there in Mexico, fentanyl. And they said so many people there have gone missing, and it's like regularly you can see limbs of people just on the streets, the birds eating on it. Like, they were like, it's just so like the norm to see this. And that's quite disturbing, that it's normal for you to just be walking down the street and see something that looked like a part of an arm or a leg. Like, but they say it's so common in Mexico. So a lot of dysfunction today is just common. It's just common. Uh, and that's a problem. It's a problem for this type of thing to be common. And it's like, how do you move away from it all? And I feel like the current administration feels like, okay, well, if we start embarking on rights, freedom of speech, then maybe that'll help us to reel things back in to where people aren't saying things that's going to hurt someone's feelings that could result in violence. You see, so I don't know. It's just, I think the whole freedom of speech should be left alone. And then people who commit violent acts, yeah, they should be dealt with. That's breaking the law. That's separate from freedom of speech or inciting violence. Like there's got to be like there's sure something written on the books that says, oh, it's against the law to incite violence, but it's not against the law to get on the internet or whatever, however you choose to express how you feel about someone or something that has happened, and you're just giving your opinion, and it's not you, you know, encouraging violence, inciting violence. You're just giving your opinion, and I think that should be perfectly fine to do. But I don't feel like that's where we are today, where it is okay for people to do, because a lot of people have lost their jobs for stating their opinion. So these type of things does not have me to just feel encouraged on that type of level to openly speak politics because of these type of things that are taking place. So it's slippery slopes. So I'm trying to figure it out with today's climate, with how to move around, how to adjust in it. It's impossible to make everyone happy. It's impossible to make everyone happy, but my goal is to have a platform to where I'm operating in a way to where I'm abiding by all rules, regulations, policies, all of that. All of that, which I have been doing. So I want to continue to do that. But, you know, if the politicians, the powers that be want to kind of try to change the rules, then so yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So I think, excuse me, I think Kash Patel has to talk with someone else or another group of people maybe today. I don't know. I'm going to tune in because I think he's going to still possibly be talking again to some more. Yesterday was the Senate. So I think it's another group that he's supposed to talk to today. But I want to see how that goes because it got intense. It got very intense yesterday when he was meeting with the Senate. It got very intense, but I feel like there were a lot of good questions asked. And I remember the day that Charlie Kirk, you know, when he was killed, I remember that was the day I learned that Kash Patel had some lawsuits filed against him. 3 people had filed lawsuits against him, and I know there were allegations of wrongful firing, that they claimed they were fired for their political views, or they played a part in, uh, I guess, the things that was taking place against Trump when it came to the legal aspect of it. You know, they were working, I guess, for the FBI. They were doing their job, and basically they're alleging that Kash Patel came in and was like, yo, anybody who was on the case that was centered around going for Trump, you know, get him out of here at the orders of Donald Trump. So that's pretty much like the high level allegations with the lawsuit. But so Kash Patel was questioned about that yesterday, and he's like, listen, nobody got fired because of their case or political view. It was like, you know, it just was centered on your job performance. So, and he said some other things. Check it out if you can. He said some other things too that had me like, okay, so are you saying, I don't know, get into it. Kash Patel interview with the Senate, because as he was talking, it was like some things to where he just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a strong supporter of the Trump administration anymore. It's like a lot of things that they do, I side eye it. And I do not feel like the interview yesterday helped the Trump administration at all. at all. It wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. But I will say good questions were asked. Good questions were asked. I heard more good questions and not as many good responses. I'll say that. I will say that. We'll see what happens with today. I think, like I said, I think he's going to talk to someone else, maybe another group. Not sure who, but yeah, yesterday I don't wouldn't call that as a win. We'll see how today go. We'll see how today go because yesterday, win for the Senate, point one for the Senate. So I think the Senate won that round yesterday, but I was here for it because they asked some good questions. So go check it out if you can. It's long. I listened to while I was working in the background. Some of it, you can probably, catch some clips out there. So just to kind of, get an idea, the temperament got very intense. Seemed like him, Kash Patel, and Cory Booker. I think he's a Senate. It got intense between them. It got intense with Kash Patel with a lot of people. It got really intense with a lot of people. But I just feel like questions was asked of Kash Patel that needed to be asked. And I don't feel like we got clear answers on everything. But I feel like Cash was up there trying the best he could to hold it down for the Trump administration and all their shenanigans. Um, so he was just kind of the man left to hold everything that has been put on to the Trump administration. He just was there. Yeah, he just kind of had it all of the weight all on his shoulders. But listen, when they say it comes with the territory, that's part of the job. And unfortunately, to me, the current administration isn't moving in a way that's kosher. That's my opinion. I don't feel like they're moving in a way that's kosher. They talked to him. They asked him about the Charlie Kirk investigation and them saying, "Oh, we found the person," then say, "Oh no, we didn't." That back and forth. But ultimately, they do have the guy. I think his name was Tyler Robinson. They do have him in question. Here's something I found interesting. My husband was telling me last night with not Charlie, but Tyler Robinson. I think he's the guy who shot and killed, who's been accused of shooting and killing Kirk. When they first put the story out, it was said that his father was like a former police sheriff or something. He worked in law enforcement for I think 27 years. But then I recently heard that no, his dad works in construction. Anyway, so y'all look into that one. Like, what does daddy do? But it's like, why would, like I said, this new information I just got on the occupation of daddy. And also, from my understanding, I guess there was a reward out there for the capture of the person who killed Charlie Kirk. So I think the father is said to be entitled to getting that reward. Y'all, I don't know. This is just new information. Last night, my husband, he and I, were talking, and he just shared this information about, Tyler Robinson, the alleged shooter, because I believe Tyler, he's pleading. He's saying, I know they say he's not cooperating. He had his first court appearance yesterday. I haven't looked at it yet. It looks like I saw a thumbnail for a news outlet, and it looks like it was a virtual court case that he attended. So I'm not quite sure what he said there. But prior to that, I was hearing that he wasn't being cooperative. He wasn't being cooperative. So I don't know what his plea is, but I do know there's investigations of other people being involved. I think I seen something on a headline about at least 20 people being looked at. So it's bigger than Tyler Robinson, which is understandable. I don't feel like what took place that day last Wednesday, so today made a week. I don't feel like that was just a one man show. I don't believe that at all. I feel like I feel like there was a machine behind that. Somebody much bigger than the young 22-year-old. Y'all know how I go. Usually, the face of something that pops off is somebody bigger, a machine behind it. Especially when it's someone who's like a very notable person. Like usually, it's something bigger than the person who has the weapon in hand. Just think about any politicians, anybody who's been assassinated. When you really deep dive and do your research, you see that it was bigger than that moment. Like a lot of times, it's systematic. It's systematic. So yeah, I found that to be interesting information about Tyler Robinson as far as like his father's occupation. And so I need to get into the court case, the court hearing he had yesterday. He showed up to court to see what was said. Yeah, so I encourage you all to do that yourself. As always, I always encourage you all to go out and just fact check, look into the information that I share on this channel, just so you are in the know as far as what's going on, because you need to know and understand for yourself, and that's what it's all about. That's why we're honor students. I affectionately refer to my subscribers as honor students because we are lifetime learners. We seek out information, we ask questions, and we just don't accept anything someone tells us. We deep dive. We really look into it. We get into it because that's life. Smart people ask questions. Something don't sound right. You look into it. You look into it for yourself. You form your own opinion. That's what it's about. And it's a lot of people out here that don't move that way. Their opinions are based on the next person's opinions. So over here, I encourage you all to form your own opinion, do your research to gain an understanding as to what's taking place. And sometimes, going to one place, one person, it may not be enough. So move around, go to different outlets. I look to YouTube, Google, Chat GPT. I move around and I keep looking and seeking out information until it sinks in to have a good understanding as to what's taking place. And once I do that, then I come back on my channel and I share the information with you all, because I have to have an understanding first before I can come out here and try to explain it to you all. That's how it works. So if you're not new to my channel, sometimes you'll see me and I'll have like notes and things, because it's a lot of information. It's important that I convey the information in a manner, in a way that's very clear and concise, so you know what I'm talking about and you understand. Because knowledge is power. When you know better, you do better. And it starts with just being in the know. A lot of people aren't in the know about the things that are taking place today, just for whatever reason. So these times, it will behoove you to become more interested in what's taking place in the world, because it can potentially save your life. It can potentially save your life. So on that note, yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Keep your notification bell on so you know when I go live. I got some other projects and things that I'm working on. So if you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome. This is an episode of Car Chronicles. I typically do these ride along conversations on days when I'm driving into my office. Zeus said hello from Denmark. Hello, hello. How's the political climate in Denmark? Are you happy with how things are going there? And that's what I want to know. I would like, drop it. Let me know in the comments once the video posts. I want to keep the conversation going. Let me know how you feel about politics today. Do you feel like it's very different than politics yesterday? And when I say yesterday, I just mean past 10, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, like, because we are in very different times, very different times. It has me talking politics. Y'all, normally this isn't my thing. I started talking politics on this channel in February because it's so much going on. And I decided to come on the internet and just talk about it and share my thoughts and opinions. And recently I've noticed the change with YouTube and my channel, with how it's pushed because of that. It's I guess we'll use the term unpopular opinion for YouTube, I guess. It's not mostly warm and fuzzy things about what's taking place with the Trump administration. Um, So it's impacting my channel and my views and things. So like I said, I got some other things going on. I always got multiple things going on. And so when it comes to, me being a content creator, there's some things that I'm working on aside from politics because, child, baby, these folks are coming for people who are saying things that just the government find to be out of order. And I want no parts of that. I am not interested in having any conversations with anybody centered around law enforcement or the government. Just let I got enough going on. I got enough going on, and I got many other things to talk about. So I'll still continue to do my thing, as it comes to content creation. But it's just different things I do. This is the second channel. I have two channels. My first channel is just Cheek Speaks. So on there, I just react to it's non-politics. This is just political channel. First said they got people scared out here. Yeah, they do. This, like I said, this current administration is very different than previous administrations. It's very different. It's very different. So for people to be fearful or even move differently, I understand it. It makes sense. You have to adjust. Um, you have to adjust. And me myself, I'm adjusting. And I encourage for anyone to adjust to the climate that we're in. You have to adjust and pivot and do what's best for you. So with that being said, thank you so much. Go out into the world, show up in a way in which you want others to show up for you. Like attract likes. Like attracts like. Take care of yourself and one another. Heavy on the taking care of yourself. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I'll catch you all on the next broadcast. Let's keep the conversation going. Um, you know, in the comments below on this channel once it posts, let me know your thoughts about politics today in the USA. And if you're from another country, let me know your thoughts, your sentiments about the politics wherever you are. I'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace.